and welcome to Heidi Inspired Radio, helping you to live a more confident life. I'm so glad you joined us. And the purpose of Heidi Inspired Radio, just like tonight, is to bring you topics of interest to support you both personally and professionally to be the best that you can absolutely be. So thanks for tuning in. And if you're with us on social media, please pipe in and say hello and tell us where you're listening from. We've got a very special topic today that I'm very excited about, and it's so needed right now at this time before the holidays. Not that it's not needed all of the time. So here's my question to start out with this evening. The holidays are coming. Are you feeling stressed out? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling a little out of balance? We all know, and we've been listening to the last 6 shows, which is about time management and how to balance your life and be more peaceful. We all know, right, the things that we could be doing or should be doing. But what's the big excuse that we say all the time that we don't have enough of? I'll pick on you already. My darling Phil is here, my tech guy from Erie. So what do we always say that we don't have enough of? Time, exactly.
Time.
We just time.
I didn't do my voice exercises. I wasn't ready to be called upon.
I see that. I told you I was going to be picking on you today. We've got to keep it fresh.
And that's different from any other day.
I know.
Okay.
So for that's why we need today's topic. So today's topic is called mindfulness. And I know for me, when I just say that word, it makes me just want to take a deep breath. But are you practicing mindfulness? I know for me, I'm a student of mindfulness, and I have learned from the best because our expert guest, who's going to be on shortly, Susan Parr, yes, my sister, she's an expert in mindfulness. She's a certified mindfulness expert and trainer and speaker. So I have learned from her. But it's like anything, it's a practice. And people like me, am I the only one? Sometimes forget. So how do you know when you are stressed out and you know that you should be eating right, you know you should be exercising, saying no to commitments that overwhelm you? How does that show up in your life? I know for me sometimes it's the little things. So here's a classic example. I will be at the grocery store. And have you ever had this experience? You come out of a store, you walk out of the mall, the grocery store, and you can't find your car. Am I alone with that? Please pipe in. Or what happens to you? I know for me.
I have a better one.
Oh, gosh. Is it about me?
No, it's actually not.
Oh, good. It's about you? Okay, so what's your example? A
I
better one. Are you see you're upping me already?
I'm going to up the ante.
We're going to need some mindfulness later.
I came home when I was working second shift.
Yeah.
It was midnight.
Yes.
I had so much on my mind.
Yes.
I'm standing at the front door with so much on my mind.
Oh, yes.
And I'm pressing the remote for my car,
Yes.
thinking it's going to open the front door.
Yes. Well, it's that kind of thing. I mean, I was going to, good. See, I'm going to even up you one more because I couldn't find my keys and I'm looking all over. And you know where they were? I don't know if I told you this one.
In your hand.
No, in the refrigerator. So
well, that's where I keep. That's where you're supposed to keep your keys. This is a big news flash.
We're out of control, but we're gonna be and feel completely different by the end of this. I feel like this session today, after Susan gets a hold of us. So Susan Parr has come to Erie on several occasions. She lives in Portland, Maine right now, and to speak to my Coffee Club Divas on a couple of different occasions. And she has these 7 steps that sound so easy, but I know that's a little bit of a discipline to get out of your head. And what I've learned through the years and being a follower of Marianne Williamson is it's different than meditation and spending time journaling. It's about being present. And how do we get present? How do we get out of our head? And to just kind of look around at things to just get you out of your head and focus. So for example, I work out of the house. So oftentimes I've had a busy day, maybe I'm with clients, my head gets very busy. Anybody else? Your head gets busy? And even with all my Post-it notes and all of my lists that I might make, it's busy. So oftentimes I'll take a walk in the neighborhood, and the walk is not so much for exercise, it's to get out of my head. But I notice that the first little while I'm walking, I'm still in my head. And then I say, wow, look at that house. Look at their wreath. Look at the mailbox. And that's what I've learned in a very simple way about mindfulness, that it just helps me to be in the moment. And the moment, as we know, is so precious, to be present. So why do so many of us, and I'll speak for myself, tend to live in our head? We've got the busy disease, right? So Susan, I have to keep emphasizing because I want to call her Susie, because that's what my sister, I still call her Susie. So Susan.
Well, no, you just did.
I know, but I'm gonna keep slipping, and I told her that might happen. So my sister, Susan, is going to be sharing with us just a little bit about mindfulness, what it is, what it isn't, how can you incorporate that, how can you use it, why should you use it? Why is it important? How can it help you in alleviating stress? So especially at this time of the year, that you can be more centered. You know, of course, I'm a seminar leader, so I like to quote from, I like to say, all the big guys. And having studied a lot with Zig Ziglar, he's got a great quote. It's a simple quote, but it's something like motivation, staying positive. What's the quote now? No, I can't remember it.
I didn't prepare for that part of the quiz.
Because I'm not being present with the information. But basically, it's like motivation is like bathing. Here it is. And if you don't do it every day, you stink. So I'm getting a little stinky here.
Yay for that. That's awesome.
You can tell I'm bringing family on, and I know that we have a lot of family listening. The reality is being mindful, being present is a daily discipline. It's funny, too, when I talked to Susan about kind of marketing this and putting it out there, I said, well, we should talk about maybe what the mistakes are in mindfulness. And she quickly corrected me and said, there are no mistakes. This is about not judging how you're doing it, but to do it and to try it and to be present. So I can tell that my head tonight is very busy, and I know at the end I'm going to be all zen, and I'm looking forward to get it before I start kind of just like rambling on, to get Susan on the line that I think you'll be doing. We're going to do a little commercial, and then we have her bio, and I'm looking forward to having some sister time. So please pipe in with questions. Phil's going to be reading your social media questions. We want to know that you're with us tonight and that I'm not alone in my busy head. Thank you. See you in a minute. Are you struggling to get new clients? Excited about your business, yet feel stuck as to what direction you need to take next? Are you one of those people who are afraid to pick up that phone or ask for that sale? Or maybe you need to be doing some networking or public speaking, but you're just not doing it? You're not alone. As a marketing consultant, former psychotherapist, certified professional career coach, and seminar leader, I have been empowering women for over 30 years and helping them build their successful business. I offer the tools, support, and accountability, which helps my clients create a positive professional image with the confidence they need to take their business to the next level. If you're interested in becoming more confident in your business, increasing your client base, please like us on Facebook. Heidi Inspired. Develop your ability to go higher. So we are back, and I am going to read Susan's bio to give you a little bit of her background and her experience, mindfulness. I have to put on my glasses here. Susan is a licensed clinical professional counselor who has been practicing mindfulness for over 8 years. She's completed studies in mindfulness-based stress reduction, holds a certification through Mindful Schools, and serves on the Mindful Maine Board. Susan currently works with middle school students in a public school and also has a private practice serving tweens to adults. In both settings, her intention is to teach people on how to decrease stress, anxiety, and/or depression while improving their quality of life through living in the present moment. So, Susan, are you there with us?
Oh my God, sister, I am here.
I love it. How fun are we? We are stars together, finally.
I know, I love it. It's very exciting.
I know. I want to put up your beautiful picture. Oh, see, look at, did you see that picture of you? It says on air.
She needs to concentrate on the interview and not worry about what's going on Facebook.
Well, that's that's on Facebook.
Well, the problem here is the feed runs about 20 seconds behind, and everybody will.
Yes. God. Oh, I am. I see myself. That's so exciting.
I know you can't see yourself. Say we're multitasking. So, but seriously, to get started, I love hearing this. To tell a little bit about you, your background, how did this, become interested in mindfulness? So let's hear your background for everybody that's listening.
Well, I think I need to start by just most importantly say that as your younger sister, I don't always have choices. And being on the radio, when Heidi says you're going to be on my radio show, then I know that I can't disagree with her. So I'm actually so psyched to be part of your program. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So a little bit about me.
Yes.
First, most importantly, I've got two amazing teenage daughters, Ella, who's 19, and Audie, who is 16. So little shout outs to them. And married to fabulous Steve Jocker, who just always makes me happy and makes sure I'm always warm in this very cold, frigid Maine weather. So I'm a Mainer, I'm a yogi, I'm a nature lover, an ocean lover, and coffee lover. And I got into mindfulness probably about 10 years ago. And Heidi, I don't even know if I told you that I actually got into it because David, our brother, who is a psychologist, told me about it, that they were using mindfulness with inmates at the prison where he works. And he said that it was very successful. And I thought, what is this mindfulness thing? And this was about 10 years ago. So I actually found a course that was being offered in Portland. And I took this introduction to mindfulness. And it was my aha moment. It just changed my life, because I realized that I was just living my life in this fast lane. Like, I would wake up in the morning and hit the floor and just go constantly. So I was just living in the future, living in the past, but I was not living in the present moment. So I actually, right after I took that course, I was at the grocery store. And as I was getting my cart, I overheard two women speaking. And one woman said, "Hey, how you doing?" to this other woman. And she said, "Oh, I'm busy. I'm so busy." And the other woman said, Me too. I am so busy. Oh my God, I have no time to myself. I'm super busy." And I listened to them and I thought, oh my God, that's me. And is this really how I want to be living my life? So busy all the time. Like, am I giving myself any opportunity to slow down and enjoy this moment for what we have? And true story, as I went in that same time period, that same day, two more conversations I overheard of people asking each other, "Hey, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm so busy." "Oh my God, I know, right? Like, me too." And in my head, I'm thinking, how's that working for me? And right away, I was like, that's not really working for me. I want to really make some changes here. So that's kind of a long answer to how I started on this path to mindfulness, which I'm just super passionate about and love everything about it.
I know, which is amazing. And, I love what you're saying about the busyness, because I could hear that in myself and other people. You're right. It's almost like a competition. Well, I'm busy too. And I've got the family and I've got the business and the holidays. And why do we think that's exciting? It's not. And it's taking away.
Right. Why is it a competition?
Yes.
Why do we think we have to outdo one another? And what are we missing out on? I mean, along with that, I'm just hearing so many, people getting, feeling sick all the time, or unwell, or anxious, or depressed. And I mean, what are we doing to ourselves? So, so mindfulness is an opportunity for us to slow down and just practice being in this moment. Every time we take a breath, it's a brand new opportunity to begin again. Mm-hmm. Isn't that so cool?
It is cool.
I'm like, when I'm in meetings at work, and I'm not like feeling comfortable with how something is going, then I can actually be like, you know what? With my next breath, I'm starting all over and fresh again.
Just within, and just talk about the mindset, because again, I was saying a little earlier, and of course I teach stress management and all this stuff, and we all know the bigger things that we should be doing and taking time. But I mean, talk about something that you could do in the moment, in a stressful moment at work, which is part of what we're going to be talking about, and shifting. And back to the school, I just want a little bit more of your credibility, because I think it's amazing. Yeah. One thing that I didn't mention in your bio that I want everyone to know is your dance movement therapy, because to me, movement, dance is a meditation. And then you've brought this mindfulness into the school, and they're open to it. And don't you have like weekly lunch meetings or something with the teachers? Or tell us a little bit about that, because I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I work in a fabulous school system where they've been 100% supportive of me pulling mindfulness into the schools. And I went through a program called through Mindful Schools. And I learned how to work not only with middle schoolers, but also with administrators and teachers. So I've spent a couple years providing mindfulness to staff, where they would come in early on a Friday morning, a half hour before the school day would begin, and we would sit together and practice breathing and just being in the present moment. And with students, I offer a mindfulness club. We meet once a week and we do different mindfulness activities. I'm trying to teach them at a really young age the connection between their minds and their bodies. And because the stress of especially kids these days has really increased, teaching them the tools that they will have available to slow down in the moment or before a test. I often go into the classrooms and talk a little bit about mindfulness and lead them through some activities. And my favorite is every Friday I run a mindful lunch group. So a group of sixth graders, and each week this group is getting bigger and bigger. I think this week I had 15 kids in my office, and they bring their little lunch trays in, and we sit down, and I ring this little bell, and I have them get into their mindful body. So bring awareness to how their body is feeling in this moment. So maybe it's feeling stressed, or maybe it's feeling tired, or maybe it's feeling excited. So they get in touch with that feeling, and then they look at their food, and they look at the different colors of the food. They look at the different textures of the food. They smell their food. They think about where their food may have come from. And then we take 2 minutes of silence, and they slowly and mindfully eat. So they're chewing their food longer than that they tend to do. And in that opportunity, they're just starting to give themselves permission to slow down and be in the moment. And then afterwards, we go around and they all describe the food that they are eating and have to use different adjectives. And it's awesome. It is such a great thing to see sixth graders coming in and wanting to slow down during their crazy busy day.
And not to want to be on, so many kids with the technology and stuff, and that they're hungry for that, and that you're providing that, and that the school is allowing that, and that it's growing. So that's amazing. You're doing such, it's also back to, I know that you said David got you into it. And by the way, David and Michael are listening. I think you have the whole Parr family listening.
Oh my God. Hi, family.
Oh, I know why Michael's listening.
I know. So that's so funny. But back to, another comment that I just wanted to make. It's like you went into this because you needed it. That whole saying, teach what we have to learn. And your passion with this. And, I've never met anyone more disciplined than Susan Parr with her exercise and her sleep patterns and her eating and everything. But again, the mindfulness is just the cherry on the parfait. So let's get into, for some people, because we're talking about this and it's still sometimes not everyone understands, even the definition. What is mindfulness? So can you give us a little bit of that?
Yeah. So mindfulness is about paying attention to the present moment on purpose and without judgment. So basically, we are learning to just, maybe smell things, or when you're in a conversation with somebody, really listening to that person versus starting to plan out what you're already going to say in response to that person. It's about noticing your breath, maybe, but it's also just about, with mindfulness, you can break it down into two different types of mindfulness. There's formal mindfulness, which is really mindfulness meditation. So, for example, I wake up in the morning at 5 a.m. and I come downstairs. I mindfully pour my coffee. I sit in front of the fire. And then for 20 minutes, I focus just on my breath. So I'm breathing in through my nose, breathing out through my mouth. Now, what's going to happen during that time is my mind, we call it monkey mind, is going to be planning out my day, trying to figure out how many meetings I have, what's my outfit going to be, how am I going to wear my hair. It's like my mind is racing constantly. So the cool thing about mindfulness is that you actually notice. It's about noticing, okay, my mind, I'm starting to drift. I'm future thinking right now. I'm not in this moment. And I'm noticing that, but I'm not judging it. And then I'm coming right back. And then I begin again with a brand new breath. Does that make sense?
Yes, I love it. I love the idea of this brand new breath. Yeah.
So that's formal meditation.
Okay.
Now, working with middle schoolers, and I have a private practice where I do a lot of mindfulness. People are like, I don't have time for that. I'm too busy. Right. So I get that. So what I tell people is there's informal mindfulness, and that's your entire day. So the best way I like to tell people, like, for adults, when you get into the car and you're driving to work, and oftentimes you'll say, like, I don't even remember how I got to work. I just ended up here. Yeah. Like, next time, turn off the radio and just ask yourself, what am I noticing right now? What am I noticing? Well, I'm noticing the sky's really blue today. I'm noticing that there's 2 seagulls in this tree. I'm noticing that there's a couple red leaves left on this tree. And so if you keep asking yourself, what am I noticing right now? That question will always force you to be back into the present moment. Mm-hmm. So when people say, I'm too busy, I don't have time to do this mindfulness meditation, when you're emptying the dishwasher, I'm taking out this dish and I'm putting it on this shelf. I'm taking out this glass. So it's basically kind of like narrating what's going on in that particular moment.
And how does somebody learn that? I mean, would you say that's like a discipline? But I've learned that from you, and in the past, and I love that. And you're so great and descriptive with these examples that you're giving. And the dishwasher, I used to be like, oh, I don't want to do the dishwasher, and how can I rush through it? How can I rush through it? And you're right. And when you're present, it's a whole different feeling. It feels peaceful. It feels like you have control over your life, to be present. And it's much more relaxing. I mean, it's an interesting concept that I'm still a student of.
Right. And I think really the easiest way to look at it, and because me and you are like the total Post-it queens, we
Yes, we
have
love
Post-it notes
Post-its.
all over. We love Post-its. That's
Yes.
what we give each other for gifts every year. um,
Hmm.
so put a Post-it note up. What am I noticing, right? Put it by, where your toothbrush is. Put it in the car. Put it on your desk. With this Mindful Maine board that I'm part of, when we end an email, we always say what we're noticing right now. So it's all business is all business. And then right before we hit send, we always have to say, well, I'm noticing the wind is howling right now.
Wow.
So, and that's also a really good thing. It's pulling you back into the present moment. Now with mindfulness, I mean, not the ultimate goal, but the bigger picture, I would say, is that it's starting to recognize what our habitual patterns are, so that we start to learn to, instead of reacting to something, we can start to learn to respond differently.
Okay.
So that's kind of like my little rooster story that I know all the divas have heard already.
Yes.
And should I share my little rooster story?
Well, I want to hold off on the rooster story because your brother Michael Parr has a comment. So Phil's he's reading the social media right now.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So Michael Parr said he just got back in from Japan, and the Japanese culture is all about living mindfulness every moment. They drove me crazy until I realized this, being in the moment.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is interesting.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. But I have to say, like, it's growing. And why is it growing? Because, look what's happening to, like, our world. Like, people are just so stressed out all the time. And I just don't think we can continue going at this pace. We have to learn, where can we slow down? Where can we start noticing just the basic, like when you are sitting down for a meal, can you slow down and take a couple seconds to just really look at the food before you eat it? When you're in a conversation, to really be fully present in that conversation. When you're washing your hair, just wash your hair. Like, that's, instead of planning or rehashing old stories.
Right.
So it's not a constant thing. And of course we need time in our lives to process and to plan, right? But we want to start, what we're doing each time we come back to the present moment is we're creating these brand new neurotransmitters that are helping us to just relax a little bit more. So we're not always in fight or flight mode, which is going to lead towards anxiety or towards depression.
And the stress, and I think too, and we've talked about this in other shows, but I know that you and I know this to be true, that then we crash. I mean, people then get sick because it's forcing them. So because I want you to go into briefly the 7 steps, and that's where I'll be excited to hear and rehear your rooster story, because that's inspiring. But, for people listening though, it's like, well, okay, so is this just so I can be all, peaceful? Well, that's part of it, but there are some great benefits of mindfulness. And what would you say the best benefits are for people listening to get them to sort of buy into it?
Yeah, so I would say there's lots and lots of benefits, including decreased stress, improved concentration, improved memory. Like, who doesn't want that? It helps with emotional regulation. Research is coming out more and more that it is decreasing anxiety and depression, which are just running rampant these days. It improves patience, reduces chronic pain, and it improves sleep. So there's just tons of benefits to mindfulness. And it's there, it's available to you all the time, because
Well,
you can
yeah.
always just come back to, what am I noticing right now?
What am I noticing
you-
right now? I'm going to write this down. What am I noticing right now? And taking
Put it
the
on a
breath.
Post-it note, sister.
I know, because I have a million Post-it notes. I'm going to put one on Phil's post on his head. So
Yes.
let's. I know you said you've got these kind of 7 keys, and maybe because for everybody out there to take notes, because Susan's going to walk us through step by step some things that you can do. And I believe if you can take away just one thing after this call today, and I would love to hear more comments of those of you that do you practice mindfulness. Is this new information for you? What do you like so far that you've heard? Because don't we want our fans to ask us questions, Susie?
Yes, of course we do.
All right, so please comment. Let us know you're there. So why don't you tell us some of those steps, and then bring in that rooster story, because it's very juicy. The divas still talk about that.
Okay. All right. So
You're doing a great job, by the way. You're so articulate. I trained
thank
you well.
It's all because of you. I
Of
give
course
you all
it
the
is.
credit.
Thank
sister.
you.
Thank you. So, number 1, set an intention. Set an intention for the day when you wake up. So an intention is different than a goal. So a goal is something like, okay, my goal is I'm going to get to the gym today. That's a good goal. Mm-hmm. But setting an intention is, how do you want to be today? So I want to be what? I want to be happy. I want to be calm. I want to be peaceful, something along those lines. But it's a great thing for all of you divas, especially who have create, to-do lists that have 1,000 things on them. Put number 1, how do I want to be today? I want to be kind today. So think about that as one way. It makes you slow down and think about kind of you're setting the tone for the day.
I just want to jump in with that, and what feels really different. And I like to sometimes talk about things in kind of the masculine, feminine energy. And yes, because I'm right now helping, women and get their goals, but that does feel that's very much to do. What are we going to do? What are the steps we're going to do? And that's fine and great, like you said, but it's the flip side. It's the yin, the yang, the feminine energy, the being, and how do you want to be? So let me ask you a side question. So how did you want to be? What was your intention before even coming on our radio show today? What was your word? What was your intention?
Present.
Okay.
That was my word. I want to be fully present. That's how I wanted to show up today. And it can change throughout the day. Being in private practice, before each person walks into my office, I just think about that person for a couple minutes, and I think, how do I want to be for them today? So you can change it throughout the day, but again, it's kind of setting a nice tone. But mostly, I have to say, a lot of times mine is, I want to be kind. I want to be kind.
Well, we could spend a whole hour on just number 1, which I love, and I want to just give one more example, especially to a lot of my gals that are putting themselves out there and networking, and they're uncomfortable in networking, they're introverts, and I know for me, and I'm the leader of the group, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go to my own networking group because sometimes we don't feel like it. And you're right, instead of what am I going to do, what am I going to say, how am I going to show up, what are people going to think, when I just take a moment in the car and say, like, how can I just be present? How can I make others feel special? And it takes away everything from me. It takes away the anxiety. So that's great.
Yeah. And so step number 2 leads, it kind of goes hand in hand, because step number 2 is notice your breath. So the cool thing is, like, your breath is accessible 24/7. So you can always come back to that, and it's just noticing. And what does that mean? People are, that can be really confusing. So for me, how I lead people through that is, as you breathe in through your nose, notice the temperature of the room as you breathe in through your nose. See if you can follow that breath as it glides down your throat and into your chest and into your lungs and into your belly. And then see if you can then very slowly Watch as that breath leaves your belly, it leaves your lungs, and out your mouth. So it's just that it sounds super simple, but even though I've been practicing for 10 years and I do my mindfulness meditation every morning, there are some mornings in 20 minutes I might be able to stay with 1 or 2 breaths, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. Like what we talked about a couple days ago, there's no way to do mindfulness wrong. Mm-hmm. It's just bringing awareness. So noticing your breath. Another way to notice your breath might be just saying the mantra, breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in, and breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. There's tons of different examples, but those are like a couple of my favorites.
You need to do your own tapes, because I was doing that. I couldn't help but not breathe and kind of follow that little meditation. Now, your daughter Ella has just piped on social media, and her question for you, she wants to know, what are you noticing right now?
Oh, that's
see how you've trained your kids? So what are you noticing right now?
Well, I am noticing that the coffee maker is already turned on for tomorrow morning. I'm noticing the pictures on the refrigerator. I'm noticing my shopping list. I'm noticing my bare feet against the wooden floor. I'm noticing that the pellet stove is turned off. Great question. And I'm so glad she asked that question, because this, especially at the middle school, when I deal with I actually had a student today who was having a panic attack. Okay. And in working with him today, he's future thinking. He's so caught up. He's so worried about different things going on in the future for him. And I kept saying to him, what are you noticing right now? And as he started to look around the room and name as many things in my office as possible, his whole heart rate started to go down. The shaking started slowing down. He was becoming back into this moment. So it's if nothing else out of this conversation, everybody get a Post-it note and put around, what am I noticing right now? Like, that's mindfulness.
So, okay, yes. So for those of us that are making our little lists and being present and noticing my list, so I have down that the first thing is what I'm taking notes on is to set an intention. The second thing that I'm writing down is to notice my breath. Yes. Then thirdly, to ask myself, what am I noticing right now?
Right.
And then what are some of your other little nuggets?
Okay. So my other little nuggets, this is my favorite one. Replace judgment with curiosity. Oh my God, I love that. And now with my students at work, I'm like, what's my favorite saying? And they're all like, replace judgment with curiosity, because I think that is so crucial. My favorite little story, and I shared this with the divas when I presented last, was a couple years ago. Our family was at a local restaurant, one of our favorites, and we were with another family. So there were 8 of us at a table, and it was packed. It was crazy, crazy busy there. And the service was really bad. And even though we've had this waitress before, she just seemed really angry, and the service just nothing was really going great. And so I said to the kids, like, hey, so how's everybody doing? And one of the kids said, well, it would be so much better if the waitress would, take our order and, get us some food. And I said, let's replace judgment with curiosity. Let's be curious about her. Let's just think, make stuff up. What do you think could be going on for her? Mm-hmm. And then someone said, well, maybe, 6 people called out sick today. I'm like, yes. Someone else said, well, maybe she's in the middle of a divorce. Yeah, maybe. Maybe she got into an argument with her teenage daughter right before coming. Maybe her dog died. So the more we became curious about what this waitress was going through, all of our judgment started to dissipate because nobody knows what's going on really for other people. And we said to the group of us of like, let's make it our intention to kind of shift her energy and her thinking. So when she came over to the table, one of the girls said, "I love your earrings." And she smiled for the first time. Mm-hmm. And then Audie was like, "Oh my God, this is the best grilled cheese sandwich I've ever had in my whole life." And then she laughed. So the more we kind of tried to help break up, instead of being mean back to her of like, "Well, gosh, could you speed it up or whatever," we just started to become really, really curious. And I love that. I love it because
I love that
we just
word,
don't know
curious.
What's going on for anybody, really.
These are very just key words, and a good reminder. That's very much of a coaching word too, just being curious and seeing what others people intention. Sometimes we take it so personally that they're doing something to us. And that's the other thing that I'll find myself curious. What's their intention? Was their intention really to hurt me? Was their intention really to be whatever? So I love that. I was going to say, because you're in Maine right now, obviously I was going to say, is that the lobster story? But because I love Maine, but I mean the rooster story, not the lobster story.
The lobster story.
I know, because I want a Maine lobster. I'm glad we laughed at our own jokes.
As your producer, I need to cut in here.
I know, but we're being mindful with laughter. That's a stress reliever. Let us laugh, guy from the area. Go away.
See, we're enjoying.
You don't want me to go away, and you know that.
I know.
Not for the next 15 minutes.
So tell us the lobster rooster story.
The lobster rooster story. So here's a little shout out to Susan Parr, because when she started her life coaching career, she was helping me as she was kind of going in school at the time. So the rooster story is that when my kids had just gone to the place of sleeping through the night, which was pure bliss for a new parent like myself. And I just remember feeling just so like a whole new person. So this is, 15 years ago. So I'm just starting to experience some blissful 7-8 hour nights of sleep. And my neighbors decide to get a rooster. So this rooster starts doing its little song of cockle-doodle-doo at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and 5 o'clock in the morning. And I lost it. This went on for a really long time. And I don't know if you remember this, Heidi, but like whenever anybody would ask me, like, how are you doing? All I would do is talk about the stupid rooster that was consuming my whole life. Because if I don't get my sleep,
sleep's very important.
Really off, the next, day. And Mike, Ella, and Audie as little kids were running around making rooster sounds all around the house. But it really impacted me. And it was Allison who said to me, what if you change your thinking around the rooster? What if you started to notice the rooster? What if you started to notice different things? Maybe this rooster has a message for you. I'm like, whatever. I don't think so. But because she said this is your homework assignment, and because I'm a good sister, of course I had to really focus on this. And this is what I noticed. I noticed that as soon as that rooster woke me up, my whole body was so tense. And my heart was beating very quickly. I woke up with clenched fists. I was so angry. And then I started to implement okay, I'm just going to notice it, and I'm going to try and pull away the judgment. And when I started to notice were the different pitches that the sounds that the rooster made, how long, how often. And then I started to notice the color of the sky as the sun was starting to rise. And I started to notice so many different things that it just everything started to shift for me when I took that judgment out. So in mindfulness, there's typically, well, without mindfulness, there's a stimulus, which would be the rooster in my case, and then there's a reaction, which for me was anger. So what mindfulness does is basically teaching you how to hit the pause button. So therefore, the stimulus, which is the rooster, and then I just breathe and I stay with it. And I just breathe through it. I take away that judgment. So therefore, I'm going to start to respond differently. So we're removing that reaction and we're implementing more of a response. And because of that rooster, and that was 15 years ago, that rooster, I have since then gotten up. I get up at 5 o'clock every morning, even though the rooster is long gone, thank God.
I know. I was wondering what happens to the rooster.
But, that rooster, if I ever write a book, it's going to be called The Rooster Woke Me Up.
Oh.
Isn't that such a good name?
Oh, that's a great. You shouldn't say that on the air. That's a secret. That's a good marketing hat on. That's The Rooster Woke Me Up. How juicy. Write that down. What do you guys think of that title? Yeah, I love it.
Well, Allison's on the line.
Oh, Allison's listening too. We've got the whole Parr family, and again, all of us are we're all in psychology. We're all coaching.
She says she has no idea what Susan's talking about.
Oh, that's not the rooster. All right, so replacing judgment with curiosity, and then the pausing, which isn't. I think that's a little bit of a discipline, like to really you want to, and not reacting. And I know that takes some action. That takes some. Some strength to do that, because I believe it's human nature to just want to react, but to stop and to shift gears a little bit. I love that pausing, and that's a good reminder for all of us.
Right. And then number 6 is, how big is this problem? So putting a little bit of perspective work on things. So my example on that is a couple years ago, Audie missed the bus in the morning, and I freaked out. I was like, oh my God, I'm not even ready for work. Now I have to take you to school, and I'm going to be so late. And I made it out to be like this major crisis. And then I realized, I asked myself the question, how big is this problem? Small, medium, or large? And when we look at that, a small problem is something that might impact you, like it did that day, about 15 minutes of your day, okay? So missing the bus is a small problem. And I was like, oh my God, look at, I get to spend extra, 20 minutes with my daughter. And actually, that's a really cool thing. A medium problem is something that might impact you for the next 3 to 6 months. So maybe like a broken leg or a broken arm or something. And a large problem would be a death in the family, or the fires that are happening in California right now. So it's always helpful to say, when you're finding yourself in a reactive mode, like, how big is this problem? It's coming back to the present moment, that we don't need to always react as strongly as we do.
I love that. I love it. I'm taking notes. So is Phil, by the way.
Oh, good.
Okay, so how big is the problem? I mean, just putting that in, it puts everything in perspective, doesn't it? These are just really great tips and simple tips, and to remember. And I'm excited to put some different color Post-it notes with all of these around the house, because sometimes it's easy for me to forget, and I mean daily going into my head, but just to breathe, and especially with some of the stressors coming up. So then is that the last step, or was there another step?
So the last one is gratitude.
Okay.
Just trying to take time out of your day to, like, every day I write down 5 things that I'm feeling grateful for. Again, it's kind of pulling you back. It's back into the present moment. And it's just a really nice way to, like, let's start focusing. How do we focus on the positive versus always focusing on the negative?
And again, though, everything that you're talking about tonight, I love that you can do in the moment, because that's, I think, we don't have the time thing as an excuse. You know, when I teach stress management, I'm like, what can you do in the workplace that's only a couple minutes? And again, it's just really shifting your mindset and kicking in some of these rules and nuggets. So Phil's taking some notes over there. So what are you getting out of today? Are you being mindful, or are you being distracted?
Well, because I'm in charge of this worldwide production tonight,
yes,
I have to make sure I'm monitoring things appropriately.
Yes.
All right. So it's been fun to watch your whole family here. Alison Parr definitely made sure that she said the rooster is here.
The rooster is here.
So it's been fun to watch everybody chime in online. It's interesting, you know, when you talk about mindfulness, and you know, as the person that kind of, you know, listens to each one of your programs.
Yes.
These are little like master classes for me every week.
Yes.
Right? And because you're usually involved with the guest, I'm, you know, just sitting here listening, being a good mindful, listener. Right?
Yes.
But it was funny what I thought about when because I didn't get to see Susan when she spoke.
Right, you didn't hear the talk at the David meeting. Not. Right.
But you know, I thought to myself, it's interesting. In my job, I have to be mindful the whole time.
Oh, that's right. Every time you're doing a part, you have to be 100%
besides
present.
The accuracy and all that, if I make a mistake, I can chop my... As a tool and die
maker, if people don't know.
But I can chop my fingers off.
Right.
I mean, seriously, every day, it's 8 hours of... No wonder I'm so tired when I get home.
Yeah, no wonder. But that's exactly right, that you're 100% focused on what you're doing, and you can't even have the luxury, if it's a luxury, to have your mind wander. And then I can sometimes go on the other. That's the one thing, whenever I leave the house, the one thing feels like, slow down and get out of your head. That's one of your mantras to me, you know, just to be quiet. Susan, I am so happy that you spent this time with us, because this is, I needed this, because this is an area, I mean, all these areas, and selfishly, I am bringing topics to light that I want to have conversations about. I know other people have these issues, and again, it's a work in progress, but going into the holidays, that these are areas, I've heard this before, but again, you need to hear it over and over again. And I did forget that you learned this from David years ago, and that this is truly your passion. So tell us a little bit about, I know that you're in Maine, so you don't have clients right now over the phone, but tell us a little bit about if people want to get in touch with you, or if they email you or phone, or see, because you do have to listen to me because I'm the elder sister, eventually I think we should do some webinars. Pipe in people on social media if you want to do some webinars or Zoom, where we could see your beautiful face, and have you even do, you know, again, I'm the little marketing person, do like a 3-week or a 6-week webinar that people could jump on, and we could learn different parts of it and really study, because I'm definitely a student in this area, and I'm inspired by you in sharing all these nuggets with us tonight.
Okay, sister.
Surrender.
So listen, we're already like future planning. We're future planning, right? So like for right now, let's just like how to start incorporating some of these 7 nuggets to get through the holidays, right? Like just taking one step back and be like, okay, this moment, you know, this is going to focus on what am I noticing right now? So, to tell us, I was just going to say though, but how can people, do you want to give us your email or phone, or how people, if they want to reach out to you, how they can get in touch with you? Yeah, because I do have a private practice, and I do focus on mindfulness. So my email address is Susan Parr, LCPC @gmail.com. And if anybody's interested in setting up some sessions, I'm happy to work with people. And you can email me, and I can send you more information.
I love it. And then also, this will be, we are recording this, and it'll be up on Facebook. But then what my wonderful Phil does is he turns it into on YouTube. Do you call it a video? A YouTube video, so that anyone can share it with your friends. I think this was such a powerful, again, I want to call it session tonight. I feel like I went through my own mindfulness training, and that if you're interested, you can share it with your friends, or Susan, you will have that for yourself, and then to pass the word on, because I think I know I'm hungry for it, and I think a lot of people are. And again, you're in Maine. It's a little more innovative there maybe than in Erie, Pennsylvania. So I appreciate your bringing that to us in Erie, Pennsylvania, as well as to all the people that are listening. So I'm going to say goodbye, sister, for now. I want to go get some lobster now. And now that I'm in the Maine mode. And
good. I'm glad
thank
you want
you.
Lobster versus rooster.
Yes, thank you for sharing
thanks so much.
Yes. All right. Love you, and we'll talk to you later.
All right. Love you. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.
So just a couple of things before we close today. So how fabulous was that? I mean, it was fun to do the breathing exercises, and I especially love what I'm going to take away right now is setting the intention. And I know my goals. I'm in marketing, and the whole goal is I need to work more on what do I want to be, and to be present, and to be open, and like Susan said, to be kind. So I want to just share a minute about what's coming up next.
I have a social media comment.
Oh, good. Okay, social media comment.
Yes, Michael in Livermore.
Okay.
Michael in Livermore says, can you briefly list those 7 things once more?
Briefly, is he serious? And I have them. Do you want me to list them? Is it cutting in and out a little bit? You know what I'm going to do is I am going to post it with the video, because those are 7 tips, and that would be great for everybody to practice because the words are powerful. So here's the deal. Next Tuesday is the week of Thanksgiving. So we are taking a break. And so that is November 20th. But we are going to be back. Mark your calendars for November 27th. November 27th, I have expert, longtime friend, like 30 years, from Los Angeles, Chelly Campbell. She has written 3 books, and the topic is going to be confidence, charisma, clients, and cash. Here's the deal. Chelly is an expert with affirmations and helping you to manifest and to create more money in your life. So I've known her for so long. We know each other from a networking group in Los Angeles because, again, the power of networking. She's an amazing speaker. She's been on the road speaking for years. And I want to show you, I have this book. This is her first book. It's called The Wealthy Spirit. And her whole thing, I've taken her classes in Los Angeles, and it's all about shifting your mindset. And if you're not making the kind of money that you feel that you deserve, what are the obstacles that are in the way? And usually it's stuff that's going on right up here. So we can be mindful with our money. And I just want to share with you also, just to show you how long I've had this book. There's coffee stains on the book. I've eaten this book alive. You can see all the times that I've just written in it all over. She talks about going out, getting the ships, putting the ships out there for new clients. And here's the date. So this is April 8th, 2003. Dear Heidi, you are awesome. And people love to give you money. So that was the affirmation. Love Chelly back then. So that's going to be a really wonderful call. So what's your takeaway today, Mr. Guy from Erie? I keep calling you 100 different names.
I know. I'm starting to turn a little. Speaking of all these psychologists listening,
I know all these psychologists.
I'm getting schizophrenic.
Yes.
I'm the guy from Erie. I'm Phil. I'm the Tool and Die guy.
Darling.
Yep, a lot going on.
Well,
like I said, I've been a student for these last 6 weeks. You've had a lot of great guests. And I personally remember meeting Chelly Campbell.
Yes.
And she's a lot of fun.
She's a lot of fun.
And,
she's a spitfire,
yeah.
Yes. Former actress, of course.
But she's excellent. She'll be a really fun guest to have on.
Yes.
So I guess next week we'll have to run a best of. You know what? For your girls, I'm going to do a best of the guy from Erie.
There you go.
We'll put that on next.
Yeah, so you won't miss out. But
Yeah.
I think we're going to take a little break and enjoy the holidays. And please practice mindfulness. And we love to hear your social media. Did you like this tonight? What are some of the topics that you want to hear? There's no one more inspired than me when I bring in these experts around the country that I'm so grateful that they're spending their time to give us some inspiration and some nuggets to help us all live a more inspired life. So we will see you on the 27th. That's a couple weeks, and I look forward to seeing you there. So stay inspired, and we'll see you soon.